counting down to a strike.
What it really comes down to is we have to support our teachers because they are the backbone of our sports and our athletics.
How teachers walking out will have an impact far beyond the classroom. One dead in a fire.
Anytime there's a fatality at a fire, they automatically will investigate and then start ruling it out.
Firefighters respond overnight to a mobile home. And petition for a united Canada.
The job is not done.
Organizers reveal how many more people will have to sign up.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. The province and the teachers union have resumed talks, but a strike will still happen on Monday. The ATA says the strike has not been averted, and its talks with the province are exploratory conversations at this point. Alberta's finance minister says the province's negotiating committee has sent a letter to the ATA asking them to come up with creative solutions. Nate Horner says the onus is on the union to determine what supports teachers are actually looking for. The ATA says it has already put forward solutions teachers want. Mark Villani joins us with more. And Mark, this strike will impact 700,000 students and their families all across the province.
Yeah, that's right, Ian. And those students and parents are already feeling the impacts of this strike. Everything from looking at proper access to childcare, concerns over disruptions to learning, entire sports seasons that are coming to an end here, as well as several school trips that are now being called off. Now, the Calgary Board of Education says that 7 schools had trips planned from October 2nd to the 10th. That impacts about 175 students in Calgary. Several parents tell CTV News they're out thousands of dollars for one specific trip to Quebec City with little information on whether they'll get refunded, as the CBE says it's working on submitting some insurance claims at the moment. Meanwhile, students say they're also worried about their grades slipping, especially those in grade 12 with upcoming diploma exams. And finally, uncertainty continues over school sports. The Calgary Senior High School Athletic Association saying that all extracurricular sports will be canceled at least through the months of October.
So even if this strike is short-lived and we are back, we will still have to fight for our season, which is honestly, it's disappointing for me to see because I've put in years, my coaches have put in years, invested in me, and to see that kind of like come to a complete halt and we have very little of what we can do. What it really comes down to is we have to support our teachers because they are the backbone of our sports and our athletics.
Now, despite some conversations continuing today, strike action and school closures are set to happen at 12:01 a.m. starting on Monday. The Teachers Association also saying it will be holding several rallies in the coming days. They'll be happening in Edmonton, Calgary, and Medicine Hat. It makes people wonder, though, that just how long this is going to last, especially impacting those parents and hundreds of thousands of students as well. Ian.
Yes, thanks very much, Mark. Dozens of students staged a walkout at George P. Vanier Junior High School at 10:30 this morning in support of trans rights. They oppose the province's ban on trans students taking part in girls' sports. The province enacted the Fairness and Safety in Sport Act on September 1st. It requires students to provide documentation verifying that they were female at birth before they can play on girls' teams. Human rights groups have launched constitutional challenges of the act. One person has died after a fire in a mobile home in the southeast community of Riverbend. The fire started around 4:30 this morning in the 2700 block of 86th Avenue. When firefighters arrived, the mobile home was fully engulfed in flames. Crews first focused on the outside of the home to get the fire under control. It's once they started fighting the flames from the inside that they found a person who had died. Arson investigators from both Calgary Police and the Calgary Fire Department are working to determine the cause of the fire.
Anytime there's a fatality at a fire, they automatically will investigate and then start ruling it out. So if they stay on scene longer, that may or not be more suspicious. Or if they clear right away, then that goes out to the appropriate investigators.
Fire crews remain at the scene monitoring for hotspots. Calgary police are still investigating after a vehicle was shot at this morning. At about 2 a.m., officers responded to Skyview Link Northeast. Investigators say no one was injured, and at this point, nobody is in custody. A citizen-led petition launched to quell separatist talk has collected more than 2/3 of its goals so far. The Forever Canadian petition was started this summer in competition with a campaign seeking to separate Alberta from the rest of Canada. Thomas Lukaszuk, the former deputy premier of Alberta, had the idea. Since then, he and his team of 5,000 volunteers have gathered 230,000 signatures at 16 sites across Alberta.
The job is not done. We have to go hard. We have to raise more than 300,000 signatures because we imagine that some will have been disqualified because maybe somebody forgot to check something off. But I have no doubt that we will reach that number if people like these continue doing what they're doing.
The petition's goal is to receive 300,000 signatures before October 28th. If that happens, the argument can be presented in the legislature and potentially spark a referendum. A boost for students looking to get into the aviation industry. Mount Royal University marking the opening of their new Springbank Aviation campus. The airport-based campus is about twice as large as their previous campus. The new space has students excited not just about the space, but about the new opportunities.
So new simulators, new technologies that we have, and just quality of life changes. There's now a student lounge and a student kitchen and kind of quality of life things to kind of more holistically serve them.
Wallace hopes this will see more students enter to fill a shortage in aviation, both in the sky and on the ground. And of course, if you wanted to go for a flight today, no problem. Fantastic visibility, I would imagine.
Yeah, beautiful day today. 18 degrees is our high. And we have a couple things to talk about for your weekend. I'm going to make sure you're prepared, but for some communities, wet snow is in the forecast. We'll talk more about that in just a second, but for now, look at this. Let's enjoy the good stuff that's here, the brightness, the warmth. Not that snow is terrible, you know, it's just the wet snow's not that nice. Okay, 18 degrees is the temperature at the airport. Winds at this point relatively calm. Your 24-hour forecast is brought to you by Fifth Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit fifthAvVW.com. And because of the cold front that's swiping through for tonight, the winds are going to pick up. So by 6 o'clock tonight, you'll notice the winds starting to increase up to 40 kilometers per hour at times. And then tomorrow, we have a good chance of rain. In fact, we could see about 10 millimeters in the city in total. All right, let's advance this. That's the cold front that's swiping through. It's going to usher in a much cooler air mass, which means even in Calgary, we have the chance tomorrow night of a rain and wet snow mix. I'll talk more about that coming up. Okay, midnight tonight is the bonus prize deadline in the Hospital Home Lottery. You could win the Mercedes and Malta bonus prize or take $150,000 cash. Get your tickets before midnight tonight at CalgaryHospitalHomeLottery.com. Ian?
Thank you, Danielle. Canadian doctors are making it clear there is nothing wrong with Tylenol. Next, giving women proper advice amidst misinformation from the White House. And a free taxi ride to the hospital to give ambulances a break. Also, if you have a news tip, text us at 10400. Some Calgary doctors say they are trying to dispel medical misinformation about the link between Tylenol in pregnancy and autism. One clinic has put up posters with a recent recommendation from the Society of Gynecologists and Obstetricians of Canada. It counters a September announcement from the Trump administration saying the pain and fever medicine causes autism. The SOGC maintains that acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol, is safe to take in pregnancy at recommended doses, adding the evidence suggesting a causal link to neurodevelopmental disorders is weak and has been consistently refuted.
Pregnant moms are already terrified they're going to do something wrong that's going to hurt the baby, and now we have this statement by the President of the United States saying do not take Tylenol in pregnancy, it's very bad, and that is completely not true. It's not evidence-based and it's going to create harm.
Cooper adds it's important for pregnant patients to treat symptoms of fever, injuries or headaches during pregnancy and not to ignore them. Researchers at McMaster University and MIT have made a major breakthrough when it comes to the treatment of Crohn's and inflammatory bowel disease. They discovered a brand new antibiotic that targets IBD and used a new type of artificial intelligence to predict exactly how the drug works. The antibiotic specifically attacks a family of bacteria that includes E. coli. It will hopefully be ready for human trials in 3 years. The province will be picking up the tab for some taxi rides to the hospital. The province is trying to reduce the strain on ambulances. As part of a 6-month pilot project, non-urgent callers to 811 may be offered a free taxi ride to their nearest emergency department or urgent care centre. The program launches first in Calgary and Edmonton. If it's successful, it will expand to other communities. Okay, Danielle, it sounds like we have to make some wardrobe choices this weekend. We may be moving into the sweaters and the hoodies, perhaps even a winter jacket?
Yeah, maybe not the thickest winter jacket, but some sort of jacket that's a bit thicker than a hoodie.
Okay.
I mean, we've been spoiled, right? The only thing we had to make so far, the only decision we had to make was basically wear the hoodie for the morning. We don't need it in the afternoon. It's going to change this weekend. All right, we have some clouds that have pushed their way in, but overall, it's been a beautiful day. We are 18 in the city. 15 is what's normal for this time of year, so we're a little above normal. It's been a really nice, calm day, just a little on the breezy side at times. 20 is the temperature in Drumheller and Brooks, 19 in Medicine Hat and Lethbridge, 16 in Pincher Creek. So warm overall. We've had a bit of a breezy day, closer to 30 in Medicine Hat, 31 in Lethbridge, just over 50 in Pincher Creek, and just over 40 in Calgary. We're looking at 40 to 50 kilometer per hour gusts for tomorrow. The difference tomorrow is it will be out of the north. So this is a warm wind out of the west. It'll be that chilly wind out of the north. We're also combining that with cloud cover, showers. Okay, well, here's that cold front that's going to be swiping through tonight, and that's going to usher in a much cooler air mass, and that air mass is here to stay for the weekend. So as this moves in, it's going to create that little bit of instability as well. So we're looking at some pop-up showers because of this. Even for tonight and tomorrow along the mountains, there may be some thunderstorm activity. As we get into tomorrow though, and as that cooler air starts to push on in behind this, we're looking at snow. So snow will start Saturday morning up in Grand Prairie, down through the higher elevations, Lake Louise, for example. But then I want to advance this to show you what happens for us. So Saturday, it's a rain event, down QE 2, down Highway 2. But later, as the temperatures drop, because Saturday night in the city, for example, we will dip to that freezing mark or just below it. It looks like we're going to get potentially a rain and wet snow mix. This is the potential even into the Lethbridge area as well, and for all areas off to the west. Most of that snow, that consistent snowfall, will be at higher elevations, so 2,000 meters and up. All right, and then clears out for Sunday. So Sunday is dry, bright, but colder. So looking at the longer range forecast, 11 degrees for tomorrow, and yes, rain for the day. It won't be an all-day rain event, but we are looking at on and off rain. We could pick up about 10 millimeters in localized areas of the city, but we'll also get some sunny breaks at times. And then we transition to rain mixed in with some wet snow as we dip to about -1, -2 Saturday night. Okay, the Saturday, brighter. The system clears out, but the cooler air remains, so just a high of 8 on Sunday. If you like the 20s, don't worry, we're not done with that yet. We're looking at daytime highs around that 20 mark for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. All right, midnight tonight is the bonus prize deadline in the Hospital Home Lottery. You could win the Mercedes and Malta bonus prize or take $150,000 cash. Get your tickets before midnight tonight at calgaryhospitalhomelottery.com.
Thanks, Danielle. For some, reading a good book isn't enough. Wordfest is celebrating its 30th anniversary. Just ahead, how the festival is giving readers deeper insight on their favorite authors. The Bank of Canada is taking a closer look at inflation. Joining me is Leanna Wachniak, investment advisor with the Popwich-Carmally Advisory Group. And Leanna, Canada's central bank wants to get a more complete measure of inflation.
That's right, Ian. This is part of a 5-year review that they typically do to have a look at their mandate. Now, their 2% inflation target isn't changing, but what might change is the way that they actually measure inflation. The current measures of inflation, they try to strip out some of the more volatile items, but the fact that the mortgage prices kind of get baked into that CPI number, which is then impacted by the interest rate numbers that they choose, is sort of one of those things that makes the number a little bit more complicated to read through. Also, there's more volatility these days when it comes to inflation, and there have been some external shocks to the Canadian economy. Think about the U.S. trade situation. Think about other geopolitical pressures that could happen to the Canadian economy and have over the last several years. So they're looking for something that's going to give them a more accurate and more regular feedback in terms of how much inflation that there is in Canada in order to help them make better decisions.
And Canadians now know how much money they can put into their tax-free savings accounts for the year.
That's right, and that number is another $7,000 for 2026. Now, that contribution room will be the same as it was here in 2025 and in 2024. We haven't quite had enough inflation in order to bump it up the extra $500 to the next $7,500 mark that it would be. So it looks like it will be $7,000 for January 1st. Don't go out and contribute today because you might end up in an over-contribution situation, but talk to your financial advisor on the 1st of January or later to make that contribution.
Good to know. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Canada Post has tabled a new offer to its striking workers. It removes a signing bonus Canada Post says it can no longer afford. It has many provisions from its May offer, including a wage increase of just over 13% over 4 years, up to 7 weeks of vacation, and a cost of living allowance. The union says the latest offer appears to be a significant step backwards, and it will have more to say in the coming days. After 14 years, there will no longer be a Grand Fondo in the Okanagan. Organizers of the renowned cycling event say they're canceling it because of increasing costs and a shift in the type of races people are looking for. There was also a tragic crash at this year's event where a cyclist was killed and 2 others injured after being hit by a vehicle. The event's executive director says that incident took a serious toll on staff and volunteers. Alberta teachers will be on strike starting Monday. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. Talks have restarted between the province and teachers, but the union says the strike has not been averted. The ATA says today's conversations are only exploratory. Late this afternoon, the province announced additional supports for families. We'll have more details on that coming up at 6. Also ahead, Chris Ashley has been a Calgary electrician for 17 years, but now he's got his sights set on the Olympics, and he has a real shot of competing. Join us for his story at 6. Ian.
Thanks, Tara. For 30 years, Wordfest has turned books and literature into an event. From A to Z, from Margaret Atwood to Zadie Smith, the festival has brought writers and readers together in lively discussions. And Wordfest has a number of writers and events lined up for its 30th anniversary this month. Joining me is Shelley Youngblood, the Wordfest CEO. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Ian.
So, Wordfest started 30 years ago as a fairly small event. Where is it now in terms of being compared with other festivals like this around North America?
So even though it was a very small event when it was launched, it had big ambition, which is very typical of our big sky thinking city. It's always been a major stop on the Canadian festival circuit, but we now are year round. Now we'll do 100 events a year, and we are, okay, don't tell my colleagues, we're the one they all want. We're the invitation that all the authors are waiting to get.
So when you call up a star celebrity author in the U.S., they're already familiar with you.
Yeah, you know, we've built that reputation by doing one show after another, and that's how you do things. But when they come to Calgary, it's lively, it's theatrical. We have a big audience, we have a lot of attention, and we also sell a ton of books.
Okay, you have a whole bunch of events coming up for the Imaginarium. Let's just focus on a handful of these
Yeah,
things.
I love that.
We're going to start with Chris Demeanor. He is Calgary's former poet laureate, and he's involved with an event. Tell us about
Sure, it's called the Chris Demeanor and Deborah Willis Variety Show. Think of him and his partner, Deborah Willis, who is a award-winning fiction writer. Think of them as the Sonny and Cher of Calgary. And so they're the hosts, but you can expect a multimedia extravaganza. We have 4 writers, some of whom are musicians. They are poets. They are storytellers. And then this is fun. Chuck Palahniuk came to Wordfest in 2014. He was the author of Fight Club.
Yep.
And he had a special thing as part of his event, and we're bringing it back as part of his 30th anniversary celebration.
To see my extended interview with Shelley Youngblood, visit ctvnews.ca/Calgary. A Calgary cook is vying for the MasterChef Canada title. Season 8 premiered last night on CTV. Calgary's Boo Channa is a high school teacher. She blends Indian flavors and techniques with various cuisines, bringing heart and creativity to every dish. New episodes begin October 14th on CTV, ctv.ca, and the CTV app. You can also stream it on Crave. We've got some changes coming in the weather just in time for the weekend as well. Some cooler weather and perhaps a bit wet as well. But right now in Calgary, 16 degrees. Danielle has details coming up. Well, if you have outdoor chores to do, it's probably best to do them, I would say, early on Saturday.
Yeah, it might be raining a little in the morning.
Even then?
Even then. Let's do them now.
Okay, sure.
If you're not on this show and you're home, you might want to do them now because it's 18 degrees. And you can see the live shot behind the graphic here. It's mainly sunny. We do have cloudy periods in some spots, but it's 18 degrees. It's quite a nice day. The winds at this point are relatively calm, but they are going to start picking up within this next hour and gusting up to 40 kilometers per hour. Now, for the rest of today, gusting 40 kilometers per hour out of the west, but tomorrow it will be out of the north. So that'll be a cold wind, just a high of 11 degrees. In the rain, on and off rain is possible in the day. On and off rain is possible throughout the day. And then overnight, rain potentially mixed in with some wet snow. By Sunday, it stabilizes. We'll get some sunshine, but by then, just a high of 8 degrees.
Thank you, Danielle. Marmot Basin can't wait for the snow to fly, and the Jasper Ski Hill has some new deals to attract families. Marmot will be offering free lift passes for kids 12 and under until December 19th. They will also get free rentals and a free breakfast in the Caribou Cafeteria. The restaurant is hoping to make skiing a little more accessible.
You know, we're trying to make skiing as affordable as possible for families to get them out on the slopes. We know they enjoy skiing in the wintertime and getting out there. So we've come up with some programs here to make it more affordable.
There's also a lot of new terrain this year for more advanced and expert skiers. Marmot's hoping to open by mid-November. Thank you for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.